Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I got a late start today because I had to get my youngest. He wanted to go spend some time with his grandmother, so I had to get him to my mother so that he could spend some time at his grandmother's house. And I was kind of glad to do it because that little now 8-year-old, he can be, I'll be honest with you, every once in a while he can be a real pain in the butt. I'll shoot you straight here. This kid, every once in a while, an 8-year-old can get on your nerves. And in the summertime, for me, since I'm with my sons a lot, in the summertime, sometimes, especially when you got the two brothers together, because it's a constant referee match. All I'm hearing about is how his brother did this, and I'm supposed to take one side or another, and I'm trying to explain to them, I don't care about the details. I just don't want to fight. So anyway, no, I love my kids to death, but sometimes it's good to have a little break. All right. Now, also, I wanted to tell my oldest son, he won't hear this because my family does not listen to my videos, but I was very proud of my oldest son. He got the call in travel ball. He got the call yesterday. They called him up to the Primo, the best team, because he's been hitting so well and pitching so well. So they called him up, just like the major leagues. This travel ball stuff is serious business. So they called him up, and we're going to play in an interesting tournament coming up. Okay, now let's talk about what you really care about, which is the fact that digital assets, let me do a refresh here. Digital assets have been on the surge this morning. Bitcoin's up a little bit, but look at XRP. It's up 5.86%. And then, of course, we've been talking about, and you got Stellar up 4.3. We've been talking about how VeChain's been surging for the last few days. I think VeChain's up like some crazy amount, like 60 to 100% in the last week or so. Some crazy amount. That's good for all of us if you're a VeChain investor. All right. But this is great. You know, I don't really pay much attention to what's going on a day by day basis in the markets. I'm more of a big picture guy. I know where this all eventually goes. And so hopefully sooner rather than later. But this is always good when we see a day like this. By the way, I forgot to mention, I see Bitcoin Cash, which I don't own any Bitcoin Cash, but I am going to be having Roger Ver on this show soon. I was in conversation the other day, but I'm going to have him on the show hopefully this month. He's a pretty busy guy, so hopefully I'll have him on the show this month. All right, and he's not the creator of Bitcoin Cash. I made that mistake. He sent me a message and corrected me. He wasn't the creator of Bitcoin Cash. He is a proponent of Bitcoin Cash. So anyway, all right, and now I saw Brad Kahns retweet this. Greg Kidd, Ripple Technology complements existing regulations. By the way, where are those new requirements that Steve Mnuchin talked about a couple of months ago? He's right. Steve Mnuchin did say that regulations would be coming. And here's Greg Kidd. I think this was back in like 2015.
It's based in San Francisco. Ripple Labs is based in San Francisco and employs a team of 95 men and women with experience in government and regulation, finance and technology. Their previous experience includes Federal Reserve, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the NSA, Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, Apple, and Google. Our goal is to create faster, safer, and more efficient payment systems domestically and across international borders. In my view, a large portion of today's inefficiencies in payments stem from antiquated infrastructure. In many countries, the technology underpinning payments was last updated in the 1970s and was not designed with interoperability in mind. Because systems are not compatible, banks have to rely on a patchwork of intermediaries to move funds, a process which introduces risk, delays, and costs. Ripple Labs aims to improve payments by offering modern, interoperable payment infrastructure for registered financial institutions, clearing houses, and central banks. As Ripple is payment technology for financial institutions, consumers may never know their transactions are being sent through Ripple, just as they have little to no knowledge of the ACH and wire rails that facilitate their payments today. Our technology is designed to minimize payment and counterparty risk, reduce costs, and enable connectivity between banks and payment networks. Before discussing the technology we use, I want to highlight that Ripple's technology fully complements existing regulations. When using Ripple, a financial institution's responsibility for OFAC reporting, anti-money laundering, compliance, know your customer requirements, and other regulatory reporting stays fully intact, just as with existing payment rails. This reflects Ripple Labs' view that ensuring robust security, consumer protections.
So, way back when they were heading all this talk off at the pass, these guys have gone, they went straight to the regulators way back then. And now we're about to get those regulations. Now, I should have put this before this, but I just wanted to show you all that CoinMarketCap at one point this morning crashed. And that's a pretty good sign when you see CoinMarketCap, so many people overloading that site that it crashes. It didn't crash for long, just for a brief moment. All right, then a couple of things from XRP Crypto Wolf. Visa is hiring blockchain engineers who have worked with Ethereum and Bitcoin. They have been hiring blockchain engineers for its fintech division for years. The Visa application said their ideal candidate should have already worked with R3, Bitcoin, and Ripple. The ideal candidate, I wonder why the ideal candidate would have worked with Ripple or R3. You can't make this stuff up, folks. XRP Crypto Wolf again. Singapore's cryptocurrency and blockchain companies have grown more than 50% since 2019. In total, there are 234 crypto and blockchain companies represented across 26 categories on Singapore's blockchain's landscape map for 2020. So there you have it. Singapore is like ground zero for all this. Okay, and then Michael at VAL5 Links had tweeted this out. Trading volume on BAC has been rocketing higher in recent times. Over the past week, the institutionally aimed platform has seen a 17% rise in its total futures volume, as well as an 18% climb in its total open interest. So you can just kind of feel that things are moving along. Now, Mickey B. Fresh is on fire today, or the last 24 hours. Give him a follow at Mr. Fresh Time is what he goes by. Ripple's was engaging with central banks about issuing CBDCs on the XRPL back in 2015. Here's a deleted PDF from the Ripple website in 2015. RippleNet has just replaced the gateways. It says central banks can use Ripple to issue central bank money to authorize commercial banks. And here it says Ripple is designed to be used directly by interbank payment network members and operators and by liquidity providers. And then it shows a graphic here. Network members, banks and financial service businesses, banks provide their customers with new payment capabilities. And then he's got here, what are the use cases? They can clear and settle transactions for low and high value payments of any asset type. And then it says with Ripple, central banks can enable, and then down here, note central bank can test Ripple by using Ripple's clearing capabilities, but still settling net positions via an RTGS system. Let's see, I think he's got one more. Liquidity providers can use Ripple to fund settlement for Ripple transactions. Same currency central banks can enable. So that is interesting stuff. All right, now I saw this. This is about Cardano, and I said, looks like they've taken a page from the Ripple Spring playbook. And what this is this is an article that was on CoinDesk. I said just yesterday that Cardano, it's always frustrated me because we see Charles Hoskinson, who's obviously a really brilliant guy, but he's always talking about the tech of Cardano. But I don't ever see anybody that's coming out and saying, okay, here's here's why ADA would be a good investment. Here's who we're partnering with. Here's who is potentially going to use ADA. Here's someone that if they use ADA, the adoption this will cause an increase in the price of ADA. These are the things that I want to know. And these are the things a lot of you want to know. And that's why I'm going to try to get Charles Hoskinson on the channel to talk to him about this, because I think if presented in the right way, he would answer some of those questions. But here, this is interesting. Cardano developer house IOHK has set up a $20 million C fund alongside Los Angeles-based Wave Financial. The fund has a broad remit to invest in startups and early-stage businesses that use Cardano and other IOHK tech initiatives such as enterprise blockchain Atala. So this is the kind of thing that I'm interested in, and potential investors in ADA are interested in. So here they're going to set up, they're going to fund businesses that have who plan to use ADA in different use cases, and that is the kind of thing we want to know about. XRP Bart sent me this. Travala, the champion of crypto adoption, is bringing crypto payments back to Expedia. Book hotels using XRP on Travala. Best price guarantee on 2 million plus properties worldwide. And then XRP Crypto Wolf weighed in on this and said and showed some of the other digital assets that you can buy, things that you can purchase travel plans through. You can use Stellar. It looks like, is that Tether, Litecoin, EOS, DGB, Tron, Binance Coin. So they accept all kinds of things. That'll be interesting. Okay, now I want to make a point here. You know how I always say on this channel that words mean things? Well, they do. Words really do mean things. Well, Mickey B. Fresh, who, like I said, is on fire the last 24 hours, tweeted this out. Giancarlo, now this is Chris Giancarlo, who heads the Digital Dollar Project, right? Who Accenture is a partner in that, right? Chris Giancarlo, who used to be the chairman of the CFTC. Well, in this, he says Giancarlo mentions Internet of Value 3 times in his testimony to Senate committee. Now, remember, Giancarlo also worked for the law firm Wilkie Gallagher or something like that, who is counsel to Ripple. Well, in his testimony to the Senate, look how many times he mentions Internet of Value, right? This is what some people call the Internet of Value. Next wave, the Internet of Value. Internet of Value. I'm also proud to be associated with the international law firm. This is the firm that represents Ripple. And then you can see interoperability, another thing we always hear Ripple. He's talking about public-private partnerships to make all this happen. Must involve the private sector. Well, folks, what company in blockchain has been using the term Internet of Value for the past, let's see if he says it right here.
A standard set of technological protocols to use. So in short, our proposals, I think, is a quite simple one. And that is that there be a independent enterprise. Now, it can be a quasi-governmental. There's certainly a role for strict standards in government.
Okay, I don't know if he says Internet of Value there, but he said it in this Senate hearing. Now, there is only one company, only one group of people who I have been showing videos and who have been saying the phrase Internet of Value. And remember, words do mean things. They've been saying the Internet of Value over and over and over, but I don't want you to just take my word for it. Here we go. Chris Larson.
Anything of value can be traded. That kind of was the germ of it. But kind of stepping way back, if you look at the real problem in the world today, a lot of people point to globalization as being, not working for people. And we would say, no, it's not that it's not working. It's just it's a work in progress, right? It's incomplete. So we could have a real globalization needs interoperability in 3 core things, right? Data, goods, shipping, and money. And the problem is it only has interoperability in data, obviously the internet, and shipping since the 50s with the shipping container, which creates interoperability between port to other port, ship to train to truck. But you don't have that with money. Money networks don't interoperate. And if you have that, now billions of people are onboarded into a real working, kind of system of globalization. And that's upon us. I think that's really what we're trying to build here. And having this, anything of value can be traded.
All right. So you got, now how many times in that did he say interoperability, which is another thing right here that we saw. And then you had, then we had this.
But honestly, I was actually asking someone else about this, and they posited that it's because you guys are kind of a hybrid. You're sort of a corporate blockchain thing, but you're also a currency, so you don't have your own tribe, and so that kind of puts you in the crosshairs of everyone. What's your theory? What's up with the hate?
Well, look, I think the crypto markets and the origins of this industry are born of a group
We'll
of
go
people.
forward a little bit.
The revolution of blockchain is not happening from outside the system. The government is not going away. And if governments don't go away, all of the regulatory frameworks that apply to financial institutions are not going away. And that means banks are not going away. And so our attitude is, look, if you want to enable an internet of value, you have to connect the repository.
There's another one. And here's another one.
When you think about the fourth industrial revolution, this is all about the web merging together with the physical web, merging together with sort of the human web, if you will. I would add another one to that, and we would call that the Internet of Value. So think.
Oh, would you? They would call that the Internet of Value. And then margin delatine of Ripple.
So that's where we get to the digital asset. In our case, is XRP, which is very fragmented. And as I mentioned, blockchain is not a network of the network yet. It's adding another complexity to the existing world of the payments. So you have the network of the banks, you have the blockchain, then you have mobile money, online wallets. Can you imagine in what a fragmented world we are living? And if we don't think about what we have learned from the history of the payments, we will continue to add complexity to this world. Is there any other way of doing it? And I think that's where the next generation of the blockchain technology is leading actually to a protocol that is called interledger protocol, which is connecting any kind of the networks to other networks. So is a disruption that a shipping container did in order to create interoperability between the ship, train, and trucks. So is that how we can enable the world to freely transact values by using the proper protocol layer?
Okay, so these are just words that we keep hearing over and over. Shipping container, Internet of Value, interoperability, and now all of a sudden we've got a guy running the Digital Dollar Project that's bringing this up. Go figure. And then there was this as well. This is Stewart, XRP Stewart, by the way.
How do blockchain and digital assets help build out the Internet of Value?
Again.
It's two things at the same time, right? It's an infrastructure for moving value around the world, and that's both the distributed ledgers as well as the interoperability layer, ILP, for example. So that's really analogous to the way the internet works with the internet protocol. The second part of it is digital assets, which of course are impossible unless you have a blockchain. Those currencies are going to be extremely important for reducing liquidity costs and sort of just greasing the wheels of how all these other things of value, dollar, yen, RMB, euro, always going to, in my opinion, going to be the dominant currencies in the world, but they need a digital asset to enable that easy translation from one thing of value to another thing of value. So we think they supplement the global economy.
There you go. Then there was this one. This is Brad Garlinghouse at 2019 Swell.
He had seen firsthand how the friction associated with payments had affected Elon, had affected Prosper, and he saw the idea that if we can reduce the friction, increase the speed, there are a number of direct and indirect benefits that customers around the world, whether it's the underbanked or the unbanked, but even for businesses at large, to truly change the way payments flow and change the way industry flows. Our vision remains the same today. The Internet of Value is something that step by step we're seeing come to fruition. Now, I admit.
There you go. I wanted to finish this video by showing you this because look, I see people all the time, they're frustrated by price and all, but a day is coming where, and I get this all the time, how can you always talk about Ripple and the price is just sitting there? Well, it's because I know what I own. Just like Jeff Bezos knew what he owned back then. Watch this. Let me refresh that.
Stock fall from 113 to 6. I was also watching all of our internal business metrics, number of customers, profit per unit, everything you can imagine, defects, etc. Every single thing about the business was getting better and fast. And so as the stock price was going the wrong way, everything inside the company was going the right way. And we didn't need to go back to the capital markets. We didn't need more money. The only reason, a financial bust like the internet bubble bursting makes it really hard to raise money. But, we already had the money we needed. So we just needed to continue to progress. What
does that sound like? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button. And tell your friends and family that Ripple doesn't need the money either, just like Amazon. Thanks for listening.